Welcome back. As I'm headed into the first year of CPTD certification, I'm looking at how to keep track of the activities that I do that will qualify for recertification. I'll need to keep track of certifications for 3 years at a time, so I'll show you the 3 steps that I'm using to keep track of that. The first thing that I'll do is create that recertification document that I opened on, and I'll show you that. The second is to use a RemNote template, and I'll have the link below available for you to import if you'd like to use mine or draw from it, change it, use it in a way that's good for you. And then the last is to tag the activities both with the template and with the recertification document, and then that pulls it all together and lets me put in the information that I need. Let's look at those. The recertification document, I just went to Documents and New Document and called it this. So it's for 20 to 23 for me. This is the title of the document, and then I can also use that name as a tag. The next thing to do was to create the template. I have several template pieces. So say I was doing something that's an article or a lesson, a book, I have templates for those as well. But here what I'm mainly planning to talk about is the CPTD recertification template. Each of the pieces that I'll be referring to are these right here. The ones above it are just for my note. The note that maybe is most relevant here is that the capability models for continuing education, there's only 20 possible that we can enter for the CPTD recertification. So that's just for my reference. So that's why I called it non-slot. The rest will enter as blocks of information. I got them from the ATD portal where we'll have to enter it just to make sure I was capturing the right information. To show you that, this probably looks familiar to you from when you got your certification, the notification. It's under Manage Activities, and you can see I've tried out a couple of these. When you go to Add Professional Development, there's some introduction here, and most relevant for what I'm referring to is there are different areas depending on what the activity is, and the specific information is a little bit different for each, so I'll show you how I handled that with the template. The last step that I referred to was to tag any activity that I wanted to so that it would show up in this document. I'll show an example of that with this presentation that I gave to the Ann Arbor CPTD study group at end of February. I was super excited to talk with them since that was the same study group that I studied with. Huge call out to them. The way that I have been tagging it in here, because it's already a document for that presentation, it has other things that I kept track of as I was working on it. You can see in my notes, and here I have objectives for the session and so on. What I have been doing is using square brackets and using this inline reference to tag it with the name of the recertification. Put it right there, and there it shows up. And the last thing is to put in the template. So one thing that I'll do in case you don't have the power up is I will do shift click on the templates and pull it up alongside. There it is. And then the other way is I can do hashtag, and since mine is as you can see right here, automatically added, then I can do get in the right spot. And I will click on the one that's in the template, and there it adds everything. Let's look at this. Filling it in. This is what I would title it as, the sponsoring organization, the Ann Arbor CPTD group. The recertification category, I'll just use shorthand for speaking since that'll let me find it even though it's speaking and instruction. Requesting points is 1.5, and I'll explain that in just a moment. It's not recorded yet. For speaking and instruction, the policy states that we can record development hours and speaking hours, And for just a quick overview of this, I'm referring to the 2020 policies that apply through 2021, and they're really very similar after that as well. For speaking and instruction, we may claim 2 hours of development time for every hour of delivery, and the development can't exceed twice the delivery time. So coming back to here, if I'm putting in the development hours and the speaking hours, then 1 hour for development and half an hour for speaking is where I would get my requesting points. For documentation or evidence, you can look and see what all the possible types of evidence are, but what I will do is just copy in an image from the invitation that shows me on the schedule. There's two ways to insert images. One is to do a slash and to find insert the image, but then it has to be a URL. So the easiest way for me is just to do a copy paste, Control Z, C, Control V, and there it shows up. So the very last thing that I'll look at is once this is all in, if I go to the recertification document, then you can see that this one now shows up. So once I'm ready to enter them in, then I have this whole list, and that's where I'll end.